Whoa, look at that little nonsense over there. Hello. What's up guys, it's Bryce. Broom here. Today we are not doing anything with a broom because we don't need that, but we are going to be switching up a Cape Cobra enclosure because this over here isn't the ideal substrate I wanted for the Cape Cobra, but I now have the substrate because lockdown is kind of not level 5 anymore, so we're allowed to go out to the shops and buy stuff other than food. So I was able to get some substrate for this enclosure. So let's get the snake out and let's do that now, because we've got to change up the enclosure, get a glove and try find where this little snake is. Hey, okay, location found. Whoa, lots of poop. And there the snake goes, if you want to see it for a bit, but it's a naughty little snake. So look at that, some nice yellow curry juice on the glove. Now let's make sure this snake is securely locked up in the enclosure and open this thing up. Then take everything out basically, because we have to change the substrate. So something that's interesting about snakes is, as most people know, they tend to get very stressed out when you change their environments too much. But my theory is that baby snakes actually enjoy it more than adults do, because in the wild I personally think that they would be moving around more frequently than adults just to avoid predation by other animals. What got me thinking on this is because they recently did a study with Naja pallida, which is your red spitting cobra, and they found out that even though that's a diurnal species, so active during the day, they found that this species, the hatchlings and neonates, became active during the night. And that was to avoid predation, because as you know, cobras like to eat each other. So obviously the smaller ones have a bigger chance of being eaten than the bigger ones do. So, okay, I just did something that I do not like. I got some sand in the tracks, and that's going to make a horrible noise. As you can see, I'm just putting the sand on top of the old substrate, which will be fine for now. But back on talking about snakes that predate on other snakes like your cobras do, I think that that is also true with younger snakes such as your Cape Cobras, because I found these guys are very active during night time. So that got me to thinking that changing up the enclosure will actually make it like the environment has changed and keep them safer, so that they feel like they've moved out of one area to another area to avoid predation. And that may be the case with the snake over there, who started to nose rub on the glass because he was all comfortable in the enclosure, got enough hiding space and enough hiding spots, but then like a week ago he started rubbing his nose scales on the glass because he probably wants to get out of that area, because it's like, hey, I've been in the same area for now. So that's just my thoughts on it. I'm going to change up his enclosure and talk a bit more about that now, but let's get this enclosure set up. I'm going to get some substrate, be right back. Okay, so just a bit of organic potting soil that I like to mix along the top of the sand to make it look a little bit more natural. Obviously the sand is very moist at the moment and it clumps up like this, but it's going to dry soon enough with this heat that is in the enclosure, and then it'll look nice like the Cape Cobra enclosure, because then they can burrow under it and just be all happy. Let's get some moss just to accent it and make the flavors of the enclosure look that much better. Break up pieces of this moss, throw it around. Ooh, all my lights went off. That means it's becoming nighttime, so let's go switch them back on. So as you can see, the substrate is looking quite nice right now. So let's get the rest of the decor in there to make it look that much better, and so that the snake has space to hide. Nice spot for her to hide under. Sorry that my big head's in the frame constantly 24/7, but you gotta have to deal with that because it doesn't come off my body. Trust me, people have tried to take it off. Okay, so that's nice. It's looking pretty spazzy, and that's what I love about Cape Cobra enclosures. You just got to kind of accent it, and mixing substrate is probably one of my favorite things I do for my enclosures. It looks really good because in the wild there's not like one color or terrain of substrate, so that's why it's got a bit of that mixture of cocoa husk, cocoa fiber, organic potting soil, and this nice sand that they can burrow in, as well as some moss just to, you know, flavor it up. So let's get her back in this enclosure. The sand's everywhere now. Not the most pleasant thing at all. I wish you guys could see the enclosures because they look really phenomenal, especially with light inside of them, but all the lights in the enclosure is blue. So let's concentrate here on picking up this little baby Cape Cobra. Hey, look there. Hello. Can you see that? Look at that little snake. Oh, aren't you cute? It can fling quite far, so look at that. Okay, it's going to drop now. No, it's not. Let's put it in its new housey and watch it go. Come check here. There it goes. It's right in the back there. Look at that little nonsense over there. Hello. How are you? I think she's going to really love her setup. It's going to look phenomenal. Whoa! Don't worry, my hands are far away. So we're here with the male Cape Cobra. He's started to become quite naughty. He's starting to rub his nose along the glass over here. You can actually see a bunch of like brown scales that have stuck to here because he's rubbing so hard to like try and get out or try and go to another area. That's why I have this piece of wood in between the glass here, so it stops him to rub, but he's still rubbing his nose on it. So I consulted with some friends and they said to me that it might be best if I change the enclosure up a bit, because in my theory snakes, especially younger ones, will move around a lot more than adults and not stay in the same like burrow or hole, the same type of area. They'll move around to try to stay safe to avoid predation from the bigger snakes and the adults of the same species. That's why you won't ever see him rubbing his nose in the day. He is a nocturnal snake now. Even though the species is a diurnal species, generally juveniles become nocturnal because they don't want to be eaten. So let's take him out and we'll just change up the setup in hopes that he doesn't rub his nose again. So he isn't stressed out. I know this because he ate yesterday and he's doing really well. But let's get this piece of wood out of here now. There we go. Okay. So this is my new hook that I just got. Super stoked for it. Hello. Am I in the way there? Okay, big boy. Time and patience. Where is he going? There we go. Beautiful, beautiful little cobra. Hey, aren't you? But your nose is a little bit jongled up, so why are you backing up, boy? You can see the floor's a bit of a mess. Film the snake, not me. Wait, stay on the hook, man. Put you in here. Okay, so the floor's a bit of a mess, obviously, because of everything that's been going on, like changing that girl's setup. Which reminds me, as you can see, there's a nice skull inside of here. I need to put this in the younger Cape Cobra's enclosure because it'll just make it, you know, theme quite nicely. This was a skull that I found on a family member's piece of land that had been taken down by a leopard, so that's pretty cool. Let's get out everything and change the enclosure up. So as you can see over here, this is where the snake is rubbing against the glass. So I'm going to clean that off. It seems to be a mixture of blood and a bit of scales and that, so that's what I want to prevent. I'm going to clean that off and see if now changing the setup helps in any way whatsoever. You can see that's where the glass would stop, and that's why it was like trying to escape and trying to get out. So yeah, I don't want this to happen. Sadly it does happen, and I feel terrible that it's happening, but I'm doing my best to try and prevent it. Okay guys, so come check out what I did differently in this enclosure. I added an extra hide, I added this little branch to climb on, as well as something just to block the snake's view. So the snake has quite a few places to hide. It can hide under the water bowl, under here, behind over there. There's a hot spot hide there. It can actually hide in the skull of this wildebeest, or as you know, gnu or wildebeest is what other people call it. I don't like how the setup looks, but it's okay for now. Personally, I would like to take it back to what it originally looked like, but I want to get the snake's health right first. So let's see if this helps at all. Patience, patience, patience with venomous snakes, especially those that are toxic, which are all the venomous snakes. Look at this little guy. Oh, he did a little hood for us there. Ain't he cute? No, we don't want you to do that. So there we go. I'm gonna move this. Look there. Sorry about the messy floor. It's just with all the substrate in that, but isn't he gorgeous? Look at that. It's got nice yellows. And generally what's strange is this species is supposed to be incredibly jumpy and twitchy and a really mean snake to handle, whereas this guy is like the total opposite of that, whereas my snouted cobras have taken on his demeanor. Maybe he's not so sure what he is yet, but I'm totally fine with that. It's nice handling a snake that doesn't want to kill you and isn't super afraid of you. A stunning snake, probably around a year old. Let's see if you can see the nose, if the nose is that bad. From looking at it now, it doesn't look too terrible at all, but I just want to stop it before it gets any worse. Because we like you and we don't want to harm you. Hey little guy, let's put him away in his enclosure. Hurry up. Even though he is a calm snake, one mustn't take chances. Let's see if he approves of this enclosure. Look at his little nose there. Okay. Remember to put the locks back on the enclosures, and let me just put this piece of wood back in here so we know for sure that he is not going to start to rub his nose, just to try and prevent it as well. Oh wow, his head is right over here. I didn't even see him there. Come check it out and you can see on his nose there what I was talking about. Tip of his nose has a little bit of nose rub. Look at that. Can you see it nicely? Zoom in if you need to. He's very alert and very attentive. Such a cute snake. So guys, that's why I think it's incredibly important to ask for advice. No matter how much experience you have, you can gain so much knowledge by asking people that have less experience or even more experience than you. There's always something to learn. That's why I asked some of my elapid expert friends, that's what these snakes are, they are elapids, what I should do, because this is not on, I don't want nose rub to happen, and they came up with all these theories and that, so I'm testing these theories out if switching the enclosure around will make any difference and help the animal out. If it does, then I'll report back to them and say, hey guys, it worked, your theories worked, maybe that's why the snakes in the wild or maybe snakes in the wild actually do tend to travel a lot more when they are youngsters, switching up their positions of where they live and where they like reside for bedtime, which is, as we found out, daytime for many elapid species, although it's only scientifically proven with Niger pallida at the moment as far as I know. But that doesn't mean it's not true for other snakes. So now we know that it's true for the pallida, it may be true for these guys, Niger. So that's why we came up with all these theories, and I'm going to report back to them. Hopefully this works, and tell them, hey guys, your theory worked. We can use it for future snakes that are rubbing their nose, so we don't have to put them in tubs and don't have to, you know, like have minimalistic, hygienic, totally hygienic setups. Obviously this is hygienic, but there's also beneficial bacteria in the enclosure, not like paper towel, water bowl, and a sterile hide. So that's my thoughts on it. Always ask for advice, no matter how much experience you know or have. There's always got knowledge to gain. Thanks guys for watching. Remember to guys learn, explore, inspire, and live it. Cheers guys. Oh, remember, don't go out. Possibly listen to whatever the government says. Not possibly, just do it. Cheers guys.